Hello everyone, Minute Plus Meditation, Thursday, February the 10th, Feast of Saint Scholastica, the sister of Saint Benedict. In the first reading, we see how Solomon really goes downhill. When Solomon was old, his wives turned away his heart after other gods. He had 700, wives or concubines. And his heart was not true to the Lord his God. He started so well, didn't he? So well. So I'm going to jump down a bit. Then Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and for Moloch, the abomination of the Ammonites, on the mountain east of Jerusalem. He did the same for all his foreign wives who offered incense and sacrifice to their gods. I mean, he really goes bad. And as a result of this, further on in the reading, therefore the Lord said to Solomon, since this has been your mind, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes, I will surely tear the kingdom from you and give it to your servant. So Solomon sets into motion horrible things, reverberations in the moral, and then eventually it filters into the natural, political, economic order. And those reverberations is ultimately, it will lead to the splitting of the kingdom. It doesn't mean that, for example, when the kingdom was split, it wasn't the fault of those who split, but it was also due to Solomon's sin. And the kings were warned not to have all these wives. He did it anyways. The kings were warned not to have too much gold. He did it anyways. And the kings were warned not to have too many chariots for war. He did it anyways. So you see, in his case, it wasn't even small. Probably it was actually small little defections would lead to much bigger ones. But when we don't listen to God, we think somehow it's going to be ignored, overlooked, self-contained. It doesn't work that way. And I don't care how much, we want it to. It just doesn't, never will, never has, never will work that way. There are reverberations in life. Starts from within the human heart. We become blind, arrogant, stubborn, all those things, licentious, and then it leads to bad decisions, immoral decisions, stupid decisions, because we're not clear. We can't make decisions for upright intentions. Everything is amuck within our own heart. And this happened with the great Solomon. And the country paid the price. You remember God said back, to Samuel, they have not rejected you, they've rejected me. Once they get a king, all these things are going to happen. Now, thanks be to God that God is God and not like you and me, because God will work his will through our sinfulness, and it is sinful. God will work his will through our sinfulness. And we should be very, very thankful for that. And he'll still bring about the Messiah despite all of these sins, Solomon. False worship, but that's what happens when you give way, when you compromise in the moral order. Okay, so a beautiful story in the Gospel of Mark. This is one of my favorite. It's when Jesus, he wants to go without notice. This woman, a Gentile for Syrophoenician origin, begs him to cast a demon out of her daughter. Jesus seems to ignore her. She will not stop. She's a woman on a mission because her daughter is possessed by a demon, and she just will not give up. And then Jesus said to her, let the children be fed first. It is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs. Sounds like a total insult, but it's not. Because if it was, she would have got up and walked out in a huff. But she answered him, sir, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. See, she enters into Jesus' statement. He's not insulting her. He's testing her. And she could tell the difference. People like this are very intuitive. Tone of voice, maybe the look he threw at her, but it's that tone of voice that said, this is in effect, this is a test. I'm not insulting you. Will you accept the test? But she answered him, sir, even the dogs under the table eat the children's scraps. Then he says to her, for saying this, you may go. The demon has left your daughter. She conquers the heart of God because of her humility. She acknowledges that as a Gentile, she does not have rights at the table of the kingdom. However, in doing so, she gets a place at the table. You see, that's the whole point here. That's the paradox. That's the way it works with God. Do we understand that we don't have rights? Even the children of Israel didn't have rights. It was a grace. That's the whole thing. If you think it's a right, that somehow this is owed to me, you're not in a good place with God. In fact, you're not in a good place with other human beings because nobody likes this. It's an attitude, right? It's a total attitude. So she acknowledges that she has no place. And she says, I'll take anything you give me. I don't deserve anything. I'll take anything you give me. I'm not leaving here until I get something from you. And Jesus is he wins her heart. She wins his heart, I should say. And she gets the heal. And it's not about her, it's about her daughter. So the daughter gets the healing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful model of prayer. Beautiful. So you and I should really try to imitate this. You know, this could have presumably happened in a very short crunch period of time, but this is a model for prayer over one's whole lifetime, right? It could be a whole lifetime before we see the result of our prayer. Remember this Syrophoenician woman. And Jesus seemed to ignore her. He seemed to, just look beyond her, but he wasn't doing that. He was testing her to see if she understood, if she accepted her true place before God. And she did. So that's the challenge for you and me. God bless you.